Hey, sweet mama. Welcome back to another episode of Mama Mindset. I'm your host and creator, Amy Cawthron. Thank you so much for joining me today on this fabulous, fantastic Monday. If you're listening to this on the day it comes out, it's a Monday. I love Mondays. I love these Mondays to reset. You can also do a reset anytime during the week. So I hope you don't forget that as well. If this is your first time joining me, welcome. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for finding me. I hope another mama friend referred you because I love it when mama friends are referred by other mama friends, and it just helps us build this amazing community. If you're a returning listener, welcome back. Thank you for allowing me to be in your head and in your ear for just a few minutes today to learn from some of the lessons that I've figured out, or laugh or cry, or just hear perspective from me or other moms as well. So today, I just wanted to start out too by talking about something that we did as a family today. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm wearing some eyeshadow. I never wear eyeshadow, and I have way more makeup on than I usually do. In fact, I feel like I need to wash it all off, because if you've listened to my other episodes, you know that I just don't wear a lot of makeup. I do put some on for some of these recordings, but if you've watched any of them on YouTube, you would see that there's a couple of episodes that I didn't even put any makeup on. And that's absolutely okay, because that's my life. That's the real me. So, but today I have fancy eyeshadow on. And the reason why is because we did family pictures, and we haven't had like professional family photos done ever. I haven't had them done since our wedding. We usually have a friend do it, and I usually get her a gift card or something, and she comes to the house, or we go somewhere close by and she keeps it really easy. But it's by no means, like a professional session. And we did professional session today. And why the fuck do we put ourselves through this? I ask myself that all the time. I really, really don't like doing family photos, and my hat goes off to the moms that actually do, but I don't know a single mom that I've talked to that actually enjoys them. It's torture, it's agony. It is so stressful for me for coordinating everybody's clothes, getting outfits to match everyone, and then you spend all this money and you just hope and pray that it's not going to be too cold, which it was today because we waited until December to do them. And you hope and pray that the kids are in a good mood. So you stress about getting them in bed on time. Everybody needs a bath the night before, rush out the door, make sure you're there on time, all of the things, which is why I have put off for years getting professional family photos done. And full disclosure, did not hire the person that did it. My husband did. So my hat goes off to him. A public formal thank you to him for scheduling it and coordinating it. And I know 100% I would not have done it, because it's just not something that's super, super important to me enough to do it. But it is something that we really wanted to do and kind of needed to do. And I also Brad had her do some actual professional headshots. What? For the podcast? What? I have been putting that off for so long. It's nerve-wracking. It is, I can get up here and I don't know what it is, but it's like the ultimate form of vulnerability for me. And I needed a little bit of help with that. I needed a little bit of help breaking through that barrier and that fear. I guess I have a little bit of fear of having my picture taken and being in front of the camera, which is so funny because I do podcasting and I can talk and be super vulnerable here. But when it comes to getting my picture taken, I don't do well. So we got that done today. Again, if you're a mama that loves doing family photos, my hat goes off to you. And I think that's fabulous. I think it's amazing. And my point is sometimes we do need a little bit of help, and it's okay to ask for help. And that is an area that I asked for help in, because the thought of coordinating it on top of everything else that I'm coordinating right now was very overwhelming, even though it probably wasn't a big deal. And that was something that I felt like I could delegate to Brad. And he absolutely 100% stepped up and was like, no problem. And he did it, which is probably a little bit non-traditional for some households. It's typically the women, the moms, us, it all falls on us. So I'm super grateful that he was able to do that today. Now, again, I did all of the outfit coordinating, which was so stressful and it took me like almost an entire day, but I wanted it to be right if we were having them professionally taken. And I didn't want to go buy anything. I didn't want to buy specific outfits. I didn't want to, I just didn't want to spend any more money on what we were already investing in. So sometimes we need to ask for a little bit of help. And that was an area that I needed a little bit of help in. And that's okay. We can't always overcome all of our fears and all of our reservations in doing something 100% by ourselves. Sometimes we need to ask for a little bit of help. And this was a perfect example. And you know what? It turned out so good, honestly. The kids, we absolutely bribed them with hot cocoa afterwards. We didn't do candy during. I've heard of a couple of people saying that they'll do like chocolate or something during, but we said, no, we're going to do cocoa afterwards. And then Brad took us all out to a really beautiful brunch and it was fun. We had a lot of fun. The kids loved it. It was cold, but I double layered them. So we put 2 pairs of tights on, two shirts on, which you'll never know in the pictures. But we tried to make sure everybody was warm and she was so fast. She was so fast. We were done in probably less than 20 minutes. And then I did my individual photos and she was done super fast with those, which I was really grateful for. And I was like, okay, well, maybe this is why people pay to have professional photos done. Anyways, sometimes we need to ask for help and that's okay. Overcoming our fears sometimes on the other side can turn into this absolutely beautiful event. And it does take a little bit of work. It does take a little bit of courage leading up to it. All things I had to work through, all things that I had to do. And at the end, I'm super grateful that we got them done. So stay tuned. I will probably share a few of them on my Instagram or Facebook pages. So if you haven't already, please follow me on Instagram and Facebook for other updates, just things I'm doing in my life. And I have lots of tips and tricks and things that I post on there too, not only for myself, but also other experts or other moms and just some fun things. So that being all said, I did want to talk today about something specific leading up to the holidays. I know we've kind of talked a little bit about holidays and things like that because 'tis the season, and I feel like we all need a big hug this time of year. We all need a little bit of support. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about is integrity. And when I was reading about integrity and doing some reflective work on integrity, the thing that came up the most to me was the holidays and family. And integrity is one of those things that is really, it's something that comes up a lot around the holidays because we are gathering more, because we are with maybe family we don't see all the time. Maybe we're not crazy about being around them, but we're around them because of the holidays. Maybe it's friends that we're seeing. Maybe it's work parties that we're attending with our spouses, parties of our own. We just tend to be around more people this time of year. So I have my super beautiful, handy Usborne illustrated dictionary here. So I wanted to read you what my kids' dictionary says about integrity. And if you guys don't have one of these illustrated dictionaries, they're absolutely beautiful. We love these. Usborne has some absolutely beautiful children's encyclopedias and dictionaries. So integrity in this book says that if someone has integrity, they are honest and stick to their principles. So that being said, I also wanted to read a quote from my book that I'm reading. I think I've talked about it a few times, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And Stephen Covey says, one of the most important ways to manifest integrity is to be loyal to those who are not present. So what this means is, well, let's back up. Okay. Let's just discuss a story really quick. Okay. We've all been in these situations where we go to a holiday party, or let's just use a holiday work party. We'll just use a holiday work party for an example right now. We go to the party, we meet somebody else's wife or a person, doesn't even have to be a female. We meet another person there and we have a conversation with them. And then you leave and you think, man, I don't know why, but I just really didn't care for that person. I don't know why I don't care for that person. They said I had nice shoes. She complimented the blouse that I was wearing. And then you start thinking about it, and maybe you can't even really understand why you didn't care for that person. But is it an issue of an integrity? Did that conversation entail the other person sitting across from you talking negatively, poorly, badly, in a toxic way about other people that weren't in the room? Because your integrity is really defined by how you treat others when they aren't present. So, gossiping about other people. So I'm using that as in a way of how we feel about others. Maybe we don't trust that person. Why don't I trust that person? Is there a reason why I don't trust that person? Is there a reason why I don't enjoy spending time with that person? And is it because when you're around that other person, they're talking negatively, or they're talking in a toxic way, or they're sharing something with you they shouldn't be sharing about somebody who's not in the room, about one of their family members, about one of their friends? And you don't quite realize it at the time, but what they're doing is they're breaking that trust with the other person who isn't present, which in turn makes you feel like you couldn't trust anything with them yourself, because they're going to go turn around and share it with another person when you're not around. And they'll say, oh my gosh, did you see Amy's shoes? They were so ugly. Oh my gosh, you haven't heard this, but Amy just told me this thing at a party last night, And so you're formulating this distrust based on the sort of social code that they're breaking in front of you with the person who isn't present. And I feel like this happens a lot with our families. When we get together with families and we gather, a lot of times we spend a lot of that time talking about other people. And I don't understand that, other than for me, it seems like the ultimate lazy conversation. It's like the laziest form of communication. And I think it's sort of this insecurity because you're not really sure what to share with the person that's right in front of you. And maybe they're also insecure because they don't want to share anything about their own lives. Maybe they feel like they don't have a lot going on within their own lives right there. And maybe they don't feel like they can confide in you for some reason, because that's the ultimate form of vulnerability for them, is to talk about themselves. Instead, they're going to talk about everybody else. They're going to talk about all the things that are going on in the world around them, instead of just having this really wholesome, full conversation. I think gossip is the laziest, weakest form of communication. And that in turn makes them a less than integral person. It compromises their integrity. So as you go into the holidays, just think about that. Think about integrity. Think about how that person standing in front of you is communicating with you. And this isn't a lecture. I don't want this to be a lecture and telling you how to behave. It's more of a friendly reminder as we go into these these social settings, to stay strong with your personal integrity. Okay. Because you want to manifest this integrity by treating the people who are not present in a very positive way, and not talking bad about them to the people that are directly in front of you. That's how you manifest it. That's how you build trust amongst the people that you're around, which then in turn ripples into other people who aren't around you in that exact moment. So choose your words wisely, choose your levels of the types of conversations and how you communicate wisely. Make sure it's appropriate. And again, this is not a lecture, it's just a friendly reminder. Women are so bad about gossiping and talking about other people and their parenting methods. And trust me, I am not perfect by any means. It is something that I have to check myself on constantly. But I want to be known as a woman with integrity. I want to be known as a trustworthy, positive person. And the best way to do that is by treating the people who are not around me with integrity and trust and not talking negatively about them. So, COVID, vaccines, your personal opinions on politics, all of the things that are the highlights of the news right now, some of the trials that are going on, the world news that's going on, I strongly suggest not bringing that up during the holidays unless you can bring that up in a positive way. More often than not, it turns negative. More often than not, there's other people's opinions, very, very, very strong opinions. And so if you want to have a peaceful holiday filled with love and kindness and joy, I strongly encourage you to not participate in some of those negative and toxic conversations and to not participate in the conversations where you're talking about somebody who is not present there. Now, this goes back to boundaries. This goes back to setting your own personal boundaries for yourself. And that's very, very, very tough to do when you're around family or when you're around friends. You don't want to offend anybody. You don't want to make anybody upset. So how do we do that? Okay. So I have 3 ideas here.
No one talks about how lonely being a stay-at-home mom can be. No one talks about how physically and emotionally demanding and draining being a stay-at-home mom can be. No one talks about the anger or depression that could come along with being a stay-at-home mom. No one talks about the loss of self-identity that comes along with being a stay-at-home mom. As a stay-at-home mom of 3, I beg to differ. We hear this all the time. It's on social media, it's on mom blogs, it's in our mom groups. Hell, we play it in our head every day. What no one talks about is how to handle those feelings, how to handle those thoughts, how to build ourselves up to be better for our families. We're told, go to the grocery store by yourself. You'll feel so much better. But that's a chore that needs done. We're told to take a shower, a nice long hot shower. You'll feel so much better. That's basic hygiene. We're told if we're having these feelings, it's probably time to go back to work. Amy is here to help. She is here to have the conversations that we need to have. She is here to hand us the tools that we need to build ourselves up as stay-at-home moms. She is here to give us the tools to get us to self-awareness, self-care, and setting healthy boundaries for ourselves and our families. She's here to give us the tools to a successful mama mindset that'll truly make us the strong, kick-ass mamas that we need to be in order to raise our future generation. Amy is the hug and the swift kick in the ass that all us mamas truly need.
And I wanted to share them with you. You might have your own ways of setting boundaries, but these are 3 simple ways that I have been able to enforce, I guess would be the word, my personal boundaries when these kinds of conversations come up. And so I'll just give you a true life example. When I was at Thanksgiving with my parents, politics came up, COVID came up, vaccines came up, and it made everybody feel really yucky. And I participated in the conversation and buttons were pushed. Nobody really got upset, but it made for a very uncomfortable conversation, which then Brad and I carried with us after Thanksgiving. And we were talking about it after Thanksgiving. And I just decided at our next Thanksgiving, when we went to go see his family, I just decided, no, we are not participating in any kind of a conversation like that at all whatsoever. And I've done that before with other topics too. So I just let my guard down, I would say, a little bit at our first family Thanksgiving. And I recognized that that was a mistake and I wanted to do better. There's nothing wrong with that. We're all human. We all make mistakes, but it did leave me feeling a little funny. It left me feeling like, yeah, I wish I wouldn't have participated in that, or we wouldn't have brought it up. So but boundaries are difficult. Boundaries are very difficult. So here's just a couple of examples. You can always, one, change the subject. There's definitely ways that you can do this gracefully. That one of the best things that you can do is ask the other person about themselves. So what's going on in your life? How are you guys doing? How are the kids doing? How's your golf game going? Have you been to a football game lately? Or how's your favorite team doing? You can ask them something about themselves. It's a great way to change the subject almost immediately. And there is a way to intervene and step in and do that without like completely shutting them off. So you're just going to have to navigate that independently because every scenario is going to be different. But one, change the subject. Okay. Two, you can always excuse yourself out of the room. Okay. You can use the restroom. I mean, come on. Nobody's going to question if you used the restroom 5 minutes ago because we're all moms and that's pretty common for us. So you can excuse yourself. You can go to the bathroom, you can go get a drink of water. You can step outside for a minute. Say you need to get a little bit of fresh air. You can go check on the kids. If the kids are playing with cousins or if they're doing something, go get another plate of food, something. You can always excuse yourself out of the room in a situation like that. Just a third other tip. I'm sure there's a lot of other tips out there, but these were just 3 I wanted to give you. Find something to help with is the other one. Usually at parties or gatherings or something, there's usually something to do, whether that's picking up plates, ask the host if they need help with something. Again, that's just kind of busying yourself, excusing yourself out of the conversation and pulling away from it completely. I guess the fourth one, I would add one more in here now that I'm kind of talking through this. And I just want you to understand that this is okay for you to do. Number 4 would be to tell them that that conversation isn't something that you want to talk about on the holidays and then change the subject. But you can say, you know what? I actually said that I didn't want to talk about COVID at all during Christmas time. So I'm not going to participate in that. Or if they're talking about another person, again, that's always really hard. It's an awkward conversation to have, which is why I suggested you just excuse yourself from the room and not participate in it, change the subject, go check on the kids, something like that. But it is okay to vocalize what your boundary is. And if it gets to the point where you are uncomfortable and you can't do the other 3 suggestions that I gave you, you can say, this conversation is actually making me feel really uncomfortable because so-and-so isn't here right now to defend themselves. And I don't want to continue having this with you. And you can say it in your own words. And I'm not saying it has to be super confrontational, but you can just even say really nonchalantly, I don't know if I want to talk about this. Can we just change the subject? And what is the person going to say? I mean, if they do get offended, that's their own shit. Okay. That is their own insecurities and that is their own issues. As an integral human being, you should be able to take and accept a conversation like that. As long as you approach it nicely, they should be able to accept that and say, oh yeah, you're right. Like we probably shouldn't be having this conversation. And that's okay. If it makes them feel uncomfortable, if they get defensive, remember, it is not your fault. It is not your fault. You are being a much, much more integral person by saying something, standing up for that person that isn't present and walking away, changing the subject, removing yourself from the room and holding strong and true to that boundary that you have. Because again, at the end of the day, do you want to be remembered as a person lacking in integrity, or do you want to be remembered as this woman that has integrity, that talks kindly of other people, that supports other people, that carries them along? Or do you want to be remembered as the woman that's, talking negatively about the friend down the street that isn't able to make the cookie gathering? It's icky. It doesn't make you feel good. And, I know sometimes we just need to talk. I know sometimes we just need to kind of get it out there. And there are ways that we can kind of share a story or a situation that another woman is going through, as long as we're not talking negatively about them, as long as you're not belittling them, bashing them, creating this negative energy around whatever decisions they're making, how they're parenting their kids, etc. You can still talk about other people, but just be really, really aware of the level of integrity that you're withholding, because you're not only treating the person that isn't present poorly and putting negative toxic energy out into the universe, but you're also showing the person that's standing right in front of you, even if they are participating in the conversation, you are still showing them this less than integral side of you. And you're showing them that they can't trust you because you're talking negatively about this other person that's not even present. So, like Stephen Covey says, if you want to manifest integrity in your life, you need to treat the others who are not present around you with integrity. And that is how you become an integral person to those that are directly in front of you. Like I was saying before, I think that we've all had relationships, or we've all had moments where we walk away from a conversation and we think, there's something about that person that makes me uncomfortable. There's something about that person that I don't align with, and I'm not sure what it is. And there's a really good chance it's because of the conversation that they're having directly in front of you about somebody who isn't even present, which means you can't trust that person that's standing right in front of you. There is a specific woman that I have in mind who another one of my friends is friends with, or was friends with. And I was really honest in saying, I just don't feel like I can trust that person. And I don't want to really spend any time with her because I don't feel like I can trust her. And the reason why, after I had reflected on it, because it was like nothing ever super specific. It wasn't like she had done something to me, but it's because every time I had been around that woman, she was talking so negatively about other people that couldn't even defend themselves, people that weren't even present in the room. And so subconsciously, that made me think, if she's saying that about so and so, if I have this conversation with her, who is she going to go tell? Or what is she going to tell other people about me? Oh, wow. Did you see Amy's kids? They're really naughty. Oh, Amy shared this about me. Or, I don't even know. Like whatever sometimes women who lack integrity say about other women. We've all been there. There are mean people in the world. I don't want to say that women are mean. I just think that some people are very insecure and very lost. So this comes from a place of insecurity. And I know that about this other female. And I just want to hug her. I just want to hug her and tell her you have nothing to be insecure about, and that's okay. But the reality is she has not decided that she is going to be an integral person. And that's totally her choice. But my choice is that I don't trust being around her. And by being around her, it's going to compromise my morals, my values, and probably push my boundaries. And I don't want to be around people that I can't trust. And that's okay. Now, when I'm around her, am I going to be kind? Do I talk negatively about her when she's not around? Absolutely not. Even this conversation that we're having right now, again, I'm saying I just want to hug this woman. I want to tell her that she should be very confident. She has no reasons to be insecure. And if she ever wanted to talk about anything, I would absolutely listen. But that's just not the case for her. That's not the level of friendship that we have, and that's okay. But that's one example of a situation that I've been in, and I couldn't really figure out, why don't I want to spend any time with this person? Why do I not feel comfortable when I'm around this person? And it's because I can't trust this person, because she has decided the level of integrity that she's going to have based on how she talks to other people who are not present in that conversation. So the next time you're in a situation like that, just remember Remember what your goal is at the end of the day. Remember the type of person you want to be. Start with the end in mind. Remember how you want to be remembered after it's all said and done. What is the level of integrity you want? What is the level of integrity that people want to have with you and you want to have with others? Because how you treat the person standing directly in front of you is just as important in how you treat people who are not present in that moment. So remember that going into the holidays. Set your boundaries and stick to them. It's absolutely okay. And it's very, very important that you do so, especially when it comes to integrity, especially when it comes to the level of integrity that you want to have for yourself and how you want to manifest that. Again, the reason why I bring this up is because I think we just tend to gather so much more around the holidays. We gather around people we're not always with. And so like I said, the laziest form of communication that you can have is by gossiping and talking about others and lowering your level of integrity in order to relate to somebody or in order to connect with somebody. So if you feel that happening and you feel that pull happening, remember the 3-4 suggestions I gave you with you're setting your boundaries. You can always leave the room. You can always change the subject and go forward with those in standing true with your boundaries. So if you have any questions regarding any of the topics that I've discussed in the past or the conversation that I've had today with integrity or family pictures, send me your DMs, send me your questions. I'm absolutely happy to answer them. I would love to hear from you. So please remember going into the holidays and this holiday season that I believe in you, I care about you, and I'm so incredibly proud of you. Thank you so much for listening today, sweet mama. I look forward to talking to you again soon.